My name is Christopher Balzano,
I'm Deanna Mulhern.
and welcome to Tripping on Legends, your campfire on the crossroads. And I've decided that I am going to cut this entire intro myself because Deanna and I, right now,
So I'm eating a
are
cannoli.
kind of on location. We're in this random park
You don't want to bite?
in the middle of Marco Island, and Deanna is eating a cannoli. So we just recorded another episode, and she was staring at that cannoli
I
like,
was not.
when will he stop talking
I
about
can't
the
believe you don't
Ormond
wanna bite.
Witch? When will he stop talking about Merritt Island
Maybe bite.
and like the conspiracy theories of this, that, and the other thing, and let me munch my cannoli? I am calling it Turtle Park. I don't know what is it actually called?
Lee Plummet, I think.
Lee Plummet. I don't know
Lee.
who Lee or
Hey, it's
Plummet
named
is.
after us.
How is that named after it? Oh, Lee.
Lee.
Because both Deanna and I's middle name is Lee. But this is one of the craziest stories I think we've ever covered.
I
on
still don't
Tripping
think
on
I heard
Legends.
the story
You haven't
yet.
heard the story yet, no. I have not revealed the
In
story.
the Civil War in honor of Memorial Day.
We are going to. I do not know. I'm unsure of what episode number this is going to be, depending on
120 something.
which one. It's either 128 or 129. But that's unimportant because what is important is that I've got a great name for it. So you have to let me know whether this name works or whether I'm being too witty.
The H thing.
Yes, I'm calling this
Triple
episode
H.
The Tale of the Two Trestles.
I thought you said it was haunted hogs.
Well, that's if we were just doing one, but we're doing two different Florida legends.
What was the H name? The Triple H.
Oh, that was homicide, hogs, homicide, and haunting, and haunts. That was fine when we were just doing the Marco Island one,
Oh.
but this episode is actually about two different haunted legends.
Okay.
I love bridges. I love the haunted bridge idea.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
When's the bridge book coming out?
that already exists. Someone already wrote that book.
No, you haven't written it though.
I haven't written it though, but it's the guy
I'm
who
not
wrote
reading
it. I
it,
can't
you
remember
wrote it.
his name. David something, I think, but he actually we've hit him up as resources before on Tripping on Legends.
Yeah, but Florida haunted bridges.
Well, I don't think there are enough haunted bridges in Florida.
We've already talked about one.
Okay.
2, 3. I can name 3, 4.
Okay. So
At least
I would
4.
I would just need to do like
At least
40,000 words on each bridge to make it.
There's more.
You think so? But do you remember? I'm gonna totally get it wrong. Is it Three Goats Gruff?
3 Billy Goat Gruffs. 3 Billy Goat Gruff.
Or Billy Goat Gruff?
Billy Goat Gruff.
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 Right? What is
Yeah.
that story? Like, what are the details of it?
Once upon a time, there was 3 Billy Goats.
Oh my
They
shit,
ate
she knows
all...
stuff.
Of
Shit,
course
she
I do.
knows- she-
Do you
she's-
know I'm a kindergarten
She's
teacher?
the kindergarten teacher. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna.
Once upon a time.
if
You
I
can
had a
eat the rest of that.
cannoli-
Right here. You can eat the rest of
I don't want your cannoli.
I
Go
don't want
ahead.
it anymore. Was not impressed.
Aw.
Once upon a time, there was 3 Billy Goat Gruffs. They lived on one side of the bridge where they ate all the delicious grass until one day the grass was all gone. They decided they were going to cross the bridge where there was more beautiful, scrumptious grass. The only problem was there was a troll that lived under the bridge.
So, like a puckwudgie?
Yes,
There was a puckwudgie
there
under
was
the
a
bridge.
puckwudgie under the bridge.
And
So the first Billy Goat,
also Dora. Dora always says, "I'm the troll that is under the bridge."
oh yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first Billy Goat was the smallest of all. Went trip-trapping over
Tripping?
the bridge. Trip-trapping.
Like legend tripping?
I don't know, trip-trapping. Yeah, like legend tripping over the
Okay.
bridge. Trip-trap over the bridge.
I hope the microphone isn't picking my belly. It's making all these crazy sounds. Go ahead, continue.
And the troll said, "Who is that trip-trapping over my bridge?" And the first Billy Goat said, "It's only me, the wee little Billy Goat. Please wait for my brother. He's medium and you can eat him." And the troll said, "You may pass." The middle-sized Billy Goat went trip-trap over the bridge. And the troll said, "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" And the middle Billy Goat said, "Wait for my brother. He's bigger and you can eat him." And the troll said, "You may pass." Now the third Billy Goat, who's the biggest Billy Goat, went trip trap, trip trap, trip trap, trip trap over the bridge. And the troll said, "Who is that trip trapping over my bridge?" And the big billy goat said, "It is I, the biggest billy goat." And the troll said, "I am going to eat you." So he started to clamber up onto the bridge. And the big billy goat used his horns and threw the troll to the moon. And you never saw him again. And they all ate all the grass and lived happily ever after.
The
And
end. That's the story?
yes.
Okay, so my question to you is this. Why does that story scare the living crap out of little kids?
Because there's a troll that's going to eat you if you cross the bridge? Why wouldn't it scare you?
All right. I mean, 'cause, I don't know. That didn't seem like that scary to me.
A troll is like a monster who guards the bridge.
I
Like,
get-
you're not allowed to cross.
I guess. So
To eat
that-
food, you're going to
even though-
starve unless you meet the monster?
even though people say that it was John Wayne Gacy or the clown craze of the early 80s, that story was actually the inspiration for it.
The
By
Billy
Stephen-
Goats?
By Stephen King, yeah. Like, he
Wow.
cites that as being. And I'm rereading it, and there's a lot of references to that story.
To the Billy Goats?
Yeah.
Wow.
To that story, and then there'll be like little instances of goats, and if you notice some
You
of the
made me want to
stories
read
and stuff
this
like that.
book so
Have
bad.
you ever read the book?
I don't know. I don't think I did read it.
So we're in Turtle Park. So if you know Stephen King, you get the turtle is not only a huge figure in the Dark Tower, but also
a god.
figures into essentially,
And it, of course.
and also figures strongly into it, both the book and the more modern movie, It Part 2, which is I think in 2018, I think it came out, 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I'm definitely reading this book.
The turtle's Mandarin's a huge part of that story. And so as we're doing these two bridge stories, and I'm reading it, and this stuff keeps popping up and connecting to
There's
these
no bridge
bridges.
in it.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to read it again.
Okay.
Boom, there's a turtle. Like, literally, we drive by this park,
I
and
know.
the turtle is so big I see
Chris,
it from the
pulls
road.
over, whips
And
the car
I
over.
did whip the car.
Exactly, drove into the park.
One thing when we're on our legend trips is that Deanna says she always feels safe when she's in the car with me. I'm not sure if she feels safe when we get out of the car and we're tromping through some places, but at least when we're driving, she does, which is a big deal for her. I never drive like that. I literally
Yeah,
pull
you're
across and
usually
stuff.
pretty cautious.
And granted, we were going 10 miles an hour because we are on Marco Island,
Yes.
tracking down one of the craziest
The railroad
stories
killer.
I've ever heard in my flippin' life.
Which I still haven't heard yet.
And you won't, because before we get to that, this is a tale of two Trestles. So these are both. What happened was this. I was researching this first story that we're talking about, which takes place near Tampa, in this town called Boynet. And as I was researching this, I had to start keywording Trestle Bridge, Ghost, Florida, like those kinds of things. And what came up was this article from the Detroit Free Press.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's not what we're talking about. Okay, skip it. Save it, skip it, go back. Da, 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 da. And then when I actually had time to read that one, I was like, holy crap. That's Marco Island. That's local. We're tracking that down.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get there, we have to travel a little bit. Hillsborough
More
County's
north.
not that far from us,
Hours.
right?
Hours.
It's 2 hours.
3, 4 probably from here.
Well, you're right, if we're talking Marco Island, but it took us an hour to get out to Marco
Yeah.
from Naples, from where you are in Naples.
Yeah.
So
And it took an hour to get to Cape Coral.
this first story, right? I want to make sure I get this. Boyet is the name of the place. Okay, it's now I don't get this.
a ghost town?
It says it's a ghost town, right?
Uh-huh.
It said, but then it said the population at the last census was 6,000. So how can it be both a ghost town? 6,000 is not a little droplet of people,
No,
right?
it's-
Like that's
no, it's
quite
small,
a lot of
but
people.
it's not
That
a
was
ghost town.
right. The town itself was established in 1907 by the Sarah Boyette, and she named it after her husband. Blah 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 blah, and it was like the Wild Wild West, right? It was what you think of 1907 Florida being a railroad town. Violent deaths, bars, saloons,
yeah.
shootouts, rum running, like all that shit was going on. And so it was pretty
Pirates.
much like a well, modern day pirates at least. The railroad went somewhere else. The town died. But they're saying there's still 6,000 people there.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're just including like the unincorporated thing, but whatever of the original town, because it doesn't say now it's this town. It just says Boyette.
Right.
The only thing I found this references to this fact all throughout everything was this idea that the only thing that exists of the old town is the cemetery. So it reminded me of Coon Hill, you know, up in the panhandle of like the only thing that would even say that there was a town there before is the cemetery, but no one can find it.
The cemetery?
The cemetery.
In Boyette?
So there's a cemetery in Boyette. No one knows where it is.
Wow.
But people
'Cause they
keep
built-
referencing.
they
So how do you
built
say
over
some?
it?
How do you say the only thing left standing is a cemetery, but we don't know where it is? It's there somewhere. This article was sent to me by good friend of the show, Della Daughtry, of like, hey, did you see there's this really cool story and people are talking about it. Most of this stuff, most of like the
story just came out?
story stuff, no, comes from 3 articles.
Okay.
One in 1975, one in 1977, and one in 1980.
Okay.
All in the Tampa Times, and all of them borrow from each other, but then also build on them.
Okay.
Right? And the one thing I want to say about this story, because this is one of those things where there's a lot of dispute whether the
Is this in the
area
folder?
still exists. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want the folder? Do you want to fondle the folder? You know what I'm saying? Like, does size matter or does size not matter?
It does. I want the big folder.
So if you, okay, I'm gonna give it to you here. If you like it big, I'm gonna give it to you. So here's the deal. I've been printing them off, so there's no actual folder.
Oh.
But what there are those. Now, what that doesn't have, as I hand you the pieces of paper, what it doesn't have is this. So I'm showing you guys. I'll post some of this stuff online, but it doesn't have this young lady. Cancel. Look at all these newspaper articles.
Wow.
Half of these have to do with these are all the newspaper articles that have to do with the stories that we're talking about. So I didn't print out all the articles.
This is all the Boyette stuff?
That's all the
No,
Boyette.
the stories?
This right here,
Yeah.
all of these are both the stories we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
The newspaper articles.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
I'm telling you, these are two well covered. At least
That's like 30 different articles.
this one is really well covered.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of stuff that happens in all of these different legends. But here's the crazy part. This story that we're talking about, the first trestle, right? So a trestle bridge, we looked up what does a trestle mean, and we were able to get
This is
real
like
no
the
definition.
structure that the bridge is.
Although when people hear the term trestle
think it means
bridge, they
this
get
part.
excited, right? Like
Yeah, it sounds like it's just the part of the bridge.
we're
It said the
associating.
structure from one end to the other end.
So both of these have to do with railroads. So I can
Hmm.
only assume that a trestle bridge is one that's maybe more likely to be used,
Over
that
water.
structure of it,
Yeah.
for a railroad. Like it
Okay,
somehow is
yeah.
made to support
some-
weight
Okay.
differently than a normal bridge is.
It's not a
so
swing
therefore
bridge.
it
It's
is.
like
I'm
the kind
sure-
of bridge it is. It's not a swing bridge.
Not a swing, not a. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have
It's not
some
a
people who are
drawbridge.
gonna correct us on some of the things
Good.
we're using
Please
tonight,
do.
such as what is a trestle?
We would love that.
What is a trestle bridge? What is an eyelet?
We would like an
Eyelet.
engineer to call in and tell us what a
Um,
trestle is.
This takes place over what's known as Fishhawk Creek.
Yep.
So Fishhawk Creek is still someplace. It's still, it's still there. There are different reports. Some people say that the remains of the trestle bridge are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Others say that it's no longer there. Others say there are some left, but it's
So we're
really
gonna go
ruins
there?
of it. So we totally have to go there.
Okay.
The only problem is, am I going to have to ditch you and do this legend trip alone?
Why?
Like leave you in a parking lot or leave you on a trail? I'm glad you asked.
I would think you would be left. Because
The-
you're scared of the bridge.
I'm not scared.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Both.
scared of nothing.
Okay.
The primary legend here is of a woman in white
Okay.
who walks along the bridge. Some people say she's just wearing a white gown.
Mm-hmm.
Other people say that she is actually wearing her wedding dress.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we go with the most popular version of the story, there was a woman, her name was Martha. Martha!
Not Mary.
She doesn't get that joke, but hopefully other people in the audience who are listening get the joke that I
Obviously
go,
for some movie.
Save Martha! Martha!
Adrian.
She's married to this guy.
Okay.
He's going to visit her, right? And his horse, because it's over 150 years ago this happened, right? So it's supposed to be around Civil War time.
Okay.
He's making his way over the bridge. The horse freaks out. He gets dumped off of the bridge. Him and the horse die.
Oh my gosh.
Martha is waiting, right? Some people say that she's waiting actually in her dress, that it's the day of the wedding, something like that. Either way, she goes out.
So that was the groom
She
that got dumped?
discovers, yes.
Okay.
She discovers that he's died, and she hangs herself from the bridge. A story we've heard before, right? Like we've heard all the elements
version,
of
yeah.
this. We've heard the woman hanging herself. Obviously,
After finding her.
the Amos and in Sarasota, up in Sarasota. What was it? What's the girl's name? Ingrid. Ingrid and Amos. Obviously, reek the Bellamy Bridge. Reeks of like that kind of story,
Yeah.
where with more of with the woman in white, like hanging from the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Her ghost is seen glowing green, right? Sometimes people see her rising up from the water itself, still wearing this white dress, still has the rope around her neck,
Wow.
and she asks you, "Where's John?" Right? And John's obviously
Right.
supposed to be the fiance, right? So the weird thing is that almost more versions of the story say, in one way or another, John is coming home from war.
Okay.
That he's actually come home from the Civil War, is going over the bridge. They're not engaged, they're not like, it's not the wedding day or anything like that. Maybe they're going to be married and he goes off to war, but that he's coming specifically back from the Civil War.
Okay.
Dies on the bridge in the same way, dies on the bridge. She hangs herself, and then she's seen. People friggin' legend tripped this for decades.
There's one more version.
Go ahead.
A boy and his girlfriend are in a dune buggy.
Okay, I was gonna get to that, but go ahead. There's
And
another.
they went off the side
there
of
are
the
two other.
bridge.
There are two other ghost things that are there. Go ahead. Say it again.
A couple is driving across the bridge in their dune buggy. They went off the side of the bridge, upside down into the train trestle. On full moon foggy nights, you can see her walking across the fallen trestle in search of her lover. That's it.
That's it. Okay. I thought there's another reference to dune buggies in there too, because there's the dune buggy legend that's there, and then there is that a man actually died during the construction of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
And that maybe that this woman is actually her.
Oh, right
in
here.
the-
A
in the
man
same
working
way.
on the bridge when it was being built tragically fell to his death. He's been heard screaming to help to this very day. When people attempt to rescue him, they encounter a terrifying sight. The image of the man turns into a horrifying creature when they approach it. It's been said that only
Oh
a few
shoot!
people...
Wait a minute, I didn't catch that part.
It's been said that only a few people have seen this monster, like the troll
Like
under
the
the
troll
bridge.
under the bridge. Oh my
Who
god!
lived
Shit.
in to tell about it. It's likely that many of his victims have either died of shock or their scare knocked them off balance into a watery death below.
So
you
people are
brave enough to visit this bridge.
So people have. I think that part of it's from
That's-
Backpackerverse.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, haunted parks around Tampa.
Haunted parks around Tampa. Okay, so that sounds like a little exaggerated. Like, will you do it?
But that sounds like the Billy Goats.
That sounds like the Billy Goat Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, this is a legend trip people did.
Yeah.
Like the newspaper articles that I talked about were all about people going to the bridge to do this legend trip.
Yeah, it was all people that have been there.
Yeah. Like, so
From
she
when they were
So
teenagers.
she's been seen walking on the bridge, emerging from the water.
Mm-hmm.
People who were running the trains back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
like when the train actually was using the bridge, reported having to stop, like seeing her in the tracks and having to
Okay.
stop. Sometimes they would see her on the tracks, they would stop, and then she would appear walking through the train,
Mm-hmm.
always with the rope around her neck, always with asking, "Where's John?" Like, that's the consistent thing. Only almost everyone reports that she doesn't move her lips. She's just looking at you, glowing green, looking at you, 30 feet away. So from here to the woman in the dress over
So
there.
how much have you researched this?
I've got literally.
No, like have you
pages
talked
in-
to anyone? Or?
I have not. No. I posted, like, does anyone have more information on that
Mm-hmm.
thread that Della sent me?
Yeah,
But-
does she know anyone? Or?
Nope, she didn't. She just said, I'm in this group. I happen to see this. I knew you'd be hip with it. So yes, there are definitely, like, I have to follow up. I have to
Mm-hmm.
do some things. I mean, I posted in the thing itself. I'm not sure if anyone will get back to me. No one has yet. But I became so obsessed with the other one that I kind of stopped following it.
The Marco Island one?
The Marco Island one.
Well, you knew you'd go back. It's all connected.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't know that we would be doing it today. So I literally had to, like, write these notes
Because I just called
down.
you this morning. I was
Yeah, like 2
okay.
hours before I saw you. So, which is why I've got all those newspaper articles and I've got what's in them, but I don't necessarily have all the information or the follow-up. But this is a really good way
You
for
haven't
us
even
to say,
printed them out yet.
what are the holes in the story that we need to check up on? The number one is, does it exist?
The town.
Does the bridge still exist? Because
Because
Runs is
it
going
said
to go...
6,000 people in 2000 is what the last
Yeah,
census.
last census is 2,000. So it's like,
That's still 20. That's 20.
that's a
something
lot
years
of
ago.
people, right?
So you don't.
There's no schools listed or anything like that.
Mm.
And it's not even like, okay, well, now it's called Fishhawk or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Because Fishhawk has schools and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I'm not even sure if those are. The one thing that's pretty consistent are the rules, though.
The rules are what?
The rules. Well, let me ask you this first. Would you define me as slim?
No.
Wow, that was really hurtful.
You know, I'm very
Well,
honest with you.
Yes.
Slim? Not
I
that
don't
many
think-
people are slim.
I don't think anyone has ever defined me as slim. Because for best results, one
I'm sure
must
you have
be-
something else.
One must be skinny, must be slim, and have a mustache. I have the mustache,
Okay, we're good.
right? So at least I definitely have that part going on. They say it has to be a man. She doesn't like women. She
So I
won't
can just
show
like trail
herself.
behind.
Well, I'm thinking just kind of like, but there's one story where there's a woman, and they actually see the ghost,
Mm-hmm.
and these four legend trippers go out, and one of them is a woman named Claire, and Claire sees the ghost. So you're still in the mix.
Okay.
You can still do it. However, it has to be on a Friday,
Okay.
and it's better.
There has to be a moon.
Well, I'm glad you say that. Because if there is a moon, one of the stories that they talk about is whenever there's a moon, the moon gets covered with clouds. Even if it's not cloudy, even if there's like no storms whatsoever, there hasn't been a cloud all day, a cloud will appear and cover the moon.
Okay.
So that must mean to make it like more dark, like for her glowiness,
Yeah,
her
she gets the
gloticity.
light from the moon. Gloticity?
Gloticity.
Okay.
Might just be because it adds to it.
Definitely. You want
But
the notes?
A
You want
third
the
of
cannoli? What are
a
you
third of the legend trippers. No, I was just pausing dramatically.
doing? Oh.
Do I want you and that freaking cannoli? I don't want your cannoli. Friday the 13th.
Okay. And do you know when the next Friday the 13th is?
I oddly enough do know when the next
When
Friday
is
the 13th.
it?
It is in October.
Oh.
What do you mean? Oh,
I'll put it on my calendar.
you should have already put it on your calendar. You should predict these things. The entire month of October should be on your calendar. I don't have an event yet that day.
And do you want me to wear a wedding dress?
Do you have your wedding dress? Just so you know, as of right now, we're rehabbing this conversation because it didn't record. And so all the jokes that I originally said, Deanna's just
No,
like
I'm
saying
saying
the
them first.
joke before I have it right. Like, she's totally ruining my rhythm here. Do you have your wedding dress, Deanna?
I'm not wearing my wedding dress in a swamp of an unknown town.
Why do people keep their wedding? Like, are you going to pass it down to your daughter? Like, do you
My
honestly think
daughter
your
or
daughter
my
would?
niece or my sister.
Although your daughter's kind of got an old school spirit, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and my sister already said she'd wear it if she gets married. I have a daughter. I have 2 nieces, a daughter, a sister.
okay, whatever. If you got married again, would you wear the same
Hell no.
dress? Okay, just saying. Okay, Deanna's happily married, so we don't have to say, talk anything about that at all.
I wouldn't wear that same dress though.
No,
I
'cause
loved
you
my
won't-
dress though.
Did you? I don't think I've ever seen a picture of you in your
Beautiful.
wedding
I'll have
dress.
to show you a picture.
Definitely, this is a doable one.
Wait, so I have to wear I can get a wedding dress?
You don't have to.
You said the last time you said to buy a wedding dress.
I know, but the wedding dress was going nowhere. The wedding dress jokes were going nowhere, so I redid it.
Okay.
But I think this is one that we could definitely do. This is one that used to be tradition. Like, this newspaper covered this like every couple of years.
I can't wait to read the newspaper.
There were new people going out to do it, right? And there's that.
Wait, the newspaper covers people doing it?
It was like one of those things where it became.
Oh, because it's like a
thing.
Halloween story. Okay.
And so these people were actually going out and doing it, and then you saw from the paper. So Della, when she posted the article or showed me where the article was posted, by the time I had looked at it a few hours after, I haven't looked at it in the last week, there were like 30 responses. So what you're holding in your hand are the responses to the post, not even of the newspaper article. Those are people who read the article, who looked at the post on Facebook and went, "Oh yeah, I used to go there in the 70s."
Wow. Oh, there's a lot of
stuff like that.
There was a lot of response to it then.
You saw there's like pages
Yeah,
of.
I didn't realize it was.
Those are all responses to the
Wow.
Facebook posting. So this is something that people used to definitely do. What you wonder is though,
Do they still do it now? Like, is there going to be like a whole crowd when we get there?
why don't they do it now? Like, why is there no one saying, "Oh yeah, I did that last year,"
Yeah.
or why are there no articles?
Well, because
past
the bridge isn't there
1980?
anymore.
I think the dune buggy thing. Which, by the way, when's the last time you heard the word dune buggy?
Yeah, I don't. What is that?
Oh, okay. Like back in the kid, that was the thing you needed to get a dune buggy. I want a dune buggy. I want a dune buggy. So it's just funny that there was a dune buggy story. It's like a sand crawler. You know what I'm saying? Like a 4-wheeler that's specifically for the sand.
Yeah. Okay.
But that
Is
used
that
to be
from
the
the
thing.
90s
Like,
or something?
I think like from the 80s, definitely.
Oh,
like
really?
people use that all the time.
You don't think like people out in the sticks still have them?
I think they've got 4-wheelers. Although I see them around Cape Coral all the time. People driving around.
Dune buggies?
And something that looks something like what you would think of as a dune buggy. Like it's on an ATV.
So why are you acting like it's like an old-fashioned thing?
Because I don't think they call them that anymore. And that used to be a word that you heard all the time.
Okay.
And I haven't heard it in decades.
Now you just say 4-wheeler.
Right. You
or
say a
ATV
4-wheeler
or
or like
something.
a.
Off-road.
But there's no. I just did this. There's no. I did. I think that maybe that accident
When they said dune
caused
buggy,
people to
I
stop
thought it meant
doing
horse and buggy.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Because it's like an old-time story. I thought I was talking about
In the 1970s.
No, it just
there
said,
was
it didn't say the year. It just said, I didn't realize that was like a Facebook thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I get. All right. So
You know,
that makes
I
sense.
didn't know. I thought that was people just talking about the story. I didn't know it was
So this is definitely one
that we can do.
that we can do. Whether we wait till October or we do on Friday the 13th or we do it.
You know we're not going to get out there till October.
We're probably not. Not with your schedule, no, we're not. So that's one that's like doable. The one that we did tonight, not so doable. And both of these, I mean, that has, I guess we could do some stuff. You can't do something to instigate it except for, you wearing your wedding dress or whatever. The one tonight didn't have.
Oh, I'm waiting for the story.
I'm transitioning. Okay.
You've got to tell me 5 of the stories I've already heard.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to this is like a choose your own adventure.
Okay.
Okay, we're now talking about another trestle bridge. As I was searching for it, like I said, I found a Detroit Free Press article
So you were looking for
talking
this.
about this. I was researching this and I found
where
another
was that
article.
Okay.
I don't know if when I did this, whether that's what shut it off, but we'll try this here. So
Oh,
look at
maybe.
the article here. This is what it looked like.
Ooh. That's kind of cool. That looks like artwork you would do for the.
It does, right?
Yeah.
So it totally was this, and I was like, all right, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
It's just the word trestle in Florida.
It was nice
came
that you
up.
saved it.
So
and
I
came back
saved
to it.
And then I noticed it was on Marco Island. So, choose your own adventure.
Okay.
This is a Trestle Bridge story. Do you want the ghost story first or the background story?
The background story.
Okay. This background story. We reached out to Paradise After Dark, who
right.
are not only they
With
live
the
in
true
Naples.
crime.
Right, they live in Naples. So it's like they're
In
right
the same county.
They're right in the same area, right? Like they're off
Collier
of
County.
and I was like, "Oh, do you guys want to meet us out?" And first of all, I asked about whether or not she could get me information on the story.
The
But
other
then,
one,
like,
or
yeah,
this
as
one?
I was on our way out here, I was like, "Oh, let me ask Lauren and Ken whether they want to come out because this is as a true story crime. This is just as screwed up
Right.
as the ghost story,
And that's their area of expertise.
and that's their area of expertise." So let me tell you the sad story of Virgil Weeks, 25-year-old Virgil Weeks.
Okay.
He is a fisherman, and he is partying with his friends at the Tinder House where the railroad comes into Marco Island.
Okay.
So we've spent the day or a few hours trying to
Wait,
find...
why didn't you just Google the Tinder House?
It doesn't exist anymore. Oh, I
No.
didn't think that. Oh, really? Put your phone down because anything you're going to find, I'm going to have the answer to.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore, which is what led me to that it's actually the bridge that we were just on, which is
The SS Jolly.
SS Jolly Bridge. And we think we're actually in the right place. We were actually in the right place.
Yeah, there's railroad
Yeah, there's a
references.
railroad references to it and stuff like that. So
You
he and
have
his
been wrong
friends-
before, though.
I have. So he and
Just
his
about bridges and where they are.
he and his friends are partying in the Tinder House.
Okay.
Tender House.
When
Not the
is
Tinder
this?
House.
When is this?
This is in 1940.
Okay.
Okay, so if you don't know what a Tinder House is, it's basically like the repair shop, right? So anything that's going wrong with the railroad bridge, anything that's going wrong with this train or the bridge itself, all the equipment's in there.
Okay.
You go
the
in there.
railroad
It's
repair
the
shop.
repair shop, right?
For the railroad.
Right. Do you even know what a tender ship does?
No.
It goes around, fixes other ships. Doesn't even
Tenderly?
have guns. Just fixes the ship, delivers mail. That's another TV reference. If anyone understands that, anyone can guess that reference, I will send you a copy of Haunted Love. I mean that. If you know what that reference
What's
is
the
that I just
reference?
referenced. I can't tell because I just made a contest for people to figure out
no,
what the
but
reference was.
repeat what it is.
Oh, I said, do you know what a tender ship is?
No.
It just goes around, repairs the other ships.
Without any
Doesn't even
guns.
have guns.
Okay.
Just goes around, fixes ships, delivers mail.
You better tell me off here.
It's from the greatest episode of television ever. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
I'll even show it to you because it's one of the best. It's from one of the best scenes on the best episode of the best show of all time. Before that, though, out there fishing. Did you just call me a loser?
No,
Oh.
it doesn't start with.
William Sawyer, known to his friends as Conk,
Okay.
right? Conk is out there fishing,
Okay.
right?
On the Jolly
And
Bridge?
well, the Jolly Bridge doesn't exist. The Jolly Bridge isn't built till the 1960s. So he's fishing where the railroad bridge, the Trestle Bridge, first gets into Marco. So pretty much like I think where we were, right? And he goes into the Tender House. I keep saying Tinder House. The Tender House, and there's Virgil partying with his friends.
Okay.
And so stories vary, but pretty much like they all start drinking. And they're drinking, this is so classy. They're drinking jugs of wine. Not bottles of wine or what have you.
Oh, like Chianti comes
But-
in jugs.
I'm thinking more, I'm seeing like a big old jug with the 3 X's on it, like like jug band
No,
kind
but
of
a lot
stuff.
of great grandpas make wine in jugs.
I'm not
Like
judging.
Chianti.
I'm just saying it's important that it's a jug of wine.
Okay.
Because they are all shitty by the time like the sun starts to come down.
Okay.
Different reports. Some of the reports say that they were playing dice. Some of them say that they're playing cards, right? Other reports say that that something happens that he makes fun of his sister or something.
Okay.
Maybe all those things are happening at the same time.
Right.
Whatever happens, right? Weeks gets totally offended. He flips out. He starts yelling at Conk, right? And he gets out his gun. And he
Okay.
tells him to get the hell out of there, right? So he gets out of there. he goes back to mainland Naples, right? Then he realizes all his fishing equipment is still out there, right? And so he has to get his fishing equipment because it's kind of like rented equipment. Like he's made a promise to buy this stuff, but he doesn't own it yet.
Okay.
So he takes his boat back out to where Virgil and his friends are still partying, right? And Virgil's like, obviously they're drunk now because it's like, he's like, get out of here, you! And he throws the bottle at the jug, the jug of wine at William's head, right? At Sawyer's head, and hits him, right? Smashes him upside the head with this water bottle to the point that it was cut.
With the wine bottle.
Yeah, with the wine jug. Cuts him, right? And like totally messes up his face, right? Like it's documented that he threw the bottle, he threw the jug and smashed this guy. But before Sawyer had come back, good old Conky had gotten his shotgun to protect himself and the equipment. He unloads both barrels of the gun on Virgil Weeks and kills him.
Wow.
Boom.
Wait,
kills
who
him
shot
dead.
who?
So,
Conk?
William Conk Sawyer
Okay.
kills Virgil Weeks.
After he hits him with the wine.
After he gets hit by the wine bottle.
Okay.
So, in other words, he was defending himself, you could say, right?
Yeah.
He takes off. They're like, we have to go get the sheriff. I mean, it's Marco Island. Marco Island is not what it is now, right? It's like, it's pretty much just swamp, right? And just like an island with like fishing on it and stuff like that. There's no like houses like this. And so
they had to get the sheriff.
They had to get the sheriff. So they take off to get the Collier County sheriff. And they leave the body.
Okay.
Only problem is something I didn't know at all until I started researching this. Marco Island was covered in wild pigs.
Hogs, right?
Wild hogs. Now, if you know Florida, you know there are many places that are known for. I mean, the TV show is even shot here in Florida, like the Wild Hogs. Was that what it was called? There was like a reality show called like Wild Hogs,
really?
And it was shot right near where I live.
Okay.
Like that road that leads into the Burnt Store Road, which totally fits into another legend, which we won't get into tonight. And to the point that there was a serial killer that was active on that road. And he would dump the bodies, and the pigs would eat, the hogs would eat the bodies because they eat anything.
Wow.
Right? So one friend was left behind to watch the body. He turned his back. He comes, looks back, and the pigs are eating.
This is a real story.
This is a real. Everything I'm saying right now is real. Like not even legend. Like this is documented. They're eating his friend, right? And so he shoots and kills the one of the hogs, and the rest of them scatter, right? So now imagine the sheriff arrives, and there's Virgil Weeks' dead body, half eaten by a hog, and then the hog is like on the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like a horror movie.
It's
not a legend.
Right, dude, it's just getting started, right? So it's like, what the fuck's going on? So, I'm sorry, what the heck is going on? So then the sheriff finds Conk Sawyer, and he's thrown in jail, right? And he's put on trial, and all these people testify, and pretty much everyone's like, it was self-defense, right?
Yeah.
Nope, they give him the electric chair.
Wow.
So he is sentenced to death.
Wow.
Now, this you can look up on the phone if you want to. As they're like starting the appeals process after the sentence has been come down, like there's a huge appeal process if you've been convicted of a capital crime, even in 1940. He says that Conk Sawyer's defense team says the testimony's all wrong. He didn't even own that kind of gun. He wasn't shot with bird shot. He was shot with whatever else you put in a shotgun. I don't know. What is it? Bird shot and something, shell shot or something. Some other kind of shot.
I have no idea.
I can't
remember. We are not
now.
gun owners.
They're definitely not gun people. We live in Florida. We're not gun people. Dude, they go to Marco Cemetery. They dig up the body of Virgil Weeks and perform an autopsy, right? It's funny because
in 1940s,
in 1940s, they exhumed the body. They said, and it was raining. They didn't move the body inside. They literally performed the autopsy in the cemetery. They said they just loaded the body with formaldehyde. He broke open his rib cage and started digging in buckshot, I think it is. But they started digging and looking
Buckshot.
for the buckshot versus birdshot or whatever it is. People started gathering around, right? Like one report says there was 50, then the next report says that there was 100. So
people
obviously,
just watching this?
people going out to, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? I think they're exhuming a body. Let's go watch
Wow.
the autopsy. It was like a big event in Marco.
So, and what did they
for
find?
people to go, he was, nope, whatever the bullet gun hat was that he had, it was the right shot. He's going to die in the electric
Oh my
chair.
gosh. So they didn't need to do that.
They didn't need to do it at all. So they like how torturous it must be for the family to like have to like watch your
And then the
your
whole
brother
community
your,
is watching.
and the whole community's watching, and which I thought was really interesting because it's like 1940s newspapers talking about the two large Negroes were able to dig up the body. It's
Oh
like,
my
oh my god,
gosh.
this is so old fashioned, right? So he's sentenced, right? I can't find out why, but for some reason they reduced the sentence, and he's sentenced to life in prison.
Okay.
So something happened along the way. Maybe they were finally able to convince someone that it was self-defense or
Self-defense,
whatever.
yeah.
Instead, it's life. He gets life in prison,
Okay.
except for the fact 16 years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 1958, he is released from jail. He's paroled,
Okay.
right? So they let him out.
Good behavior.
Good behavior, time served, whatever it was. They let the dude out of jail.
Okay.
He immediately is arrested because the first thing he does when he gets out of jail is he grabs a gun and he goes to the family of Virgil Weeks and gets into this argument.
Why would he
It
do
doesn't
that?
say, I haven't the slightest idea, right? Whatever it was, like it doesn't say that they jumped him or something like that, or they say he went to their house, to the house of like the
Yeah,
Weeks
why would
family,
you do that?
and was causing shit and gets arrested.
Oh my
Right? He was
gosh.
free. He gets arrested. He gets thrown back in jail. The story gets even weirder. He escapes.
Oh my gosh.
Right? A guy by the name, I've got to turn on my light here. A guy by the name of David Lopez, right? This is like a cartoon, right? This guy named David Lopez hands him a hacksaw.
Okay.
He literally saws his way out of the Collier County jail.
Okay.
He saws his way out of the jail. Like it's the equivalent
Wait,
of
who
getting
gave
like
him the saw?
this another felon named David Lopez
Had a
slid
saw?
him a hacksaw,
Okay.
and he was able to, with that hacksaw,
Wow.
saw his way out of jail, escape. He's never been seen since.
Wow.
There was like a huge manhunt to find this escaped murderer. The Weeks were never bothered again.
Yeah, he didn't go right
for
to their
some
house?
Yeah, no. For some reason, it said like he was thought to have gone to Cuba. But like, how crazy is that?
That's
like,
crazy.
that's one of the craziest backstories I ever heard. Like, this whole thing with the
Does sound like
pigs
a
eating
Florida
the body, and like, it does sound like a Florida man story. I might give this story to Florida Man on Florida Man because it's like their kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, it
This is
totally
a
is.
crazy story, but that's not where it ends
Uh-oh.
because there is an actual haunting
Yes.
connected to this story.
Okay, let's hear the haunting.
For years,
That's all a true story. too.
everything I just said is the true part.
Okay.
For years, where that trestle bridge lay
Mm-hmm.
and where that tender house was,
Mm-hmm.
fishermen would not eat the fish from that area.
Okay.
They would sell it, but they would not eat the fish, and a lot of fishermen wouldn't even come near it because it was thought to be cursed water.
Okay.
And definitely, you didn't go in there after night because when the night fell, Virgil Weeks' body
Mm-hmm.
would still walk along the shore.
And the pig
people
too?
would see, and people would recognize him. That's where the crazy part is.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see a pig.
Oh.
You would see Virgil,
Uh-huh.
and you would hear this demonic snorting,
Oh my
like a
gosh.
pig from hell, coming from the ghost.
Have they made a movie of this?
They've never made a movie of this. This totally
It's
deserves a movie.
scary.
Now, this is the story that they say, right? This is the legend that they're passing down, is that Virgil gets killed and his spirit starts to rise from his body, right? Then his friend kills the pig. The pig's spirit rises from
gosh.
its body and it latches on to the
And they get
ghost
stuck
and possesses the ghost. I have never heard
of a
of a
pig
ghost being
spirit,
possessed.
yeah,
Never mind
by a pig.
an animal spirit. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but maybe
So-
animals don't die like at the same time as a person that often.
Well, I like how that's what you're putting you're holding your hat to. That has to do with the timing of things, not the fact that these are two completely screwed up things next to each other that have somehow
Well, it's like a cartoon.
meshed.
Like when someone dies in a cartoon, you see like the ghost coming out of their body.
Yeah.
If the pig and the human are both going up together,
Well, the pig doesn't die at the same time. The pig
Right
dies
after
slightly
them.
afterwards, right?
right?
So, but the pig possesses
You don't know
the
when
ghost.
he died.
It doesn't possess.
exactly. Anyway.
Well, do we ever know when someone
Yeah,
really dies?
exactly. So they were both floating up at the same time, and they held hands and went up.
But it's interesting that they thought that the pig
Possessed
possessed
the spirit.
the spirit.
Yeah.
Now, the most famous thing involving pigs and let's see if you remember your Sunday school. Like pigs having to do with possession, anything?
No, I don't
No?
remember anything.
In the Bible, there's a story of that they drive the evil spirits out. I think it's Jesus that does it. Drives the evil spirit of the possessed person and puts it in the pig, and then the pigs go over the hill, and the pigs die. So he kills like the demons that are inside of them.
Okay.
No, nothing like that.
Is that why Jewish people don't eat pork?
Well,
Something
this
to do
is
with that?
I think this is a New Testament story, so it doesn't really hit
Right,
upon
but-
the.
Like
I
some
don't
kind of
think-
cross, I think. Like
I don't
cross.
think. I don't
people,
think
like-
so. I don't think. I think kosher existed before Jesus. I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that.
Well, maybe Jesus stole it from that then.
Okay, or maybe it's just a story that also, oddly enough, is somehow connected to.
Somehow.
But then I also thought like the whole idea of Amityville, and there was a whole like pig possession. Like they kept seeing the pig
Oh yeah.
having to do with Amityville,
There's
and her
been
friend
movies
was the
too
pig.
with like
Yeah, there does seem to be, and I think
possession and pigs and haunting.
there's definitely
I'm
something
surprised
weird
you
about
haven't
pigs.
researched it more.
There's definitely
Yeah.
like
I can picture like the pig man.
if thank heavens there's not like pigs going over and the trolls trying to get the pigs that are going over the bridge.
Yeah.
That would be even better. But we do pigs for the Three Little Pigs
Three little pigs, yeah.
to teach our story and stuff like that. I think it's one of those things where we're scared crapless of them. They
Of
do
pigs.
seem to be. They're supposed to be highly intelligent.
Pigman. What's the pig man from?
The Pigman
That's
is
some kind of horror movie or something, right?
yeah. Well, there's all these different horror stories that have it.
Pigman, yeah.
But then I think there's a Pigman thing. There's like an urban legend about like
Right,
the
yeah.
area. Yeah, the guy wears a pig mask and stuff like that. There's the Pigman. Is
Oh, the pig people in like that part of Naples. The
what?
Pig people.
Oh,
Pig people.
yeah.
The-
The squallies.
The squallies,
The
yeah.
Dude, I didn't even think about that.
And
Tell about what you know about the squallies. Now, I really wish they were here because Paradise After
Yeah.
Dark are like the squallies experts.
Well, it's just
Go ahead, tell us. This
some
is in
part
Naples.
in-
So,
yeah.
for anyone who's not from the area we're talking about, Naples, Marco, to anyone who's not from Marco or lives on Marco, Naples and Marco are the same place. They're just an
What do you mean
extension.
they're the same place. No, they're not.
Like,
Marco Island is an island.
right,
next
but
to
people think that
Naples.
Marco Island is part of Naples. Is what
It's
I'm
part
saying.
of Collier County.
It's right. They're in the same county, but they're not the same.
Yeah, they're not
thing.
the same
The same way people
town.
think that Pine Island is the same place as Cape Coral, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they're
Marco
not.
Island is an island, and
So
there's Naples.
geographically, there's just a bridge that separates where we are, Marco, from
Naples.
Naples.
And
Go
then
ahead,
Naples,
continue.
there's downtown Naples, regular Naples, and then the estates of Naples. So the estates of Naples is like where the boonies are, like where the people with land and like more less developed out there.
less developed in terms of land, not in terms of intelligence, right?
Yeah, land
Okay, yeah.
wise. Yeah, so
Shit,
it's
I
like
didn't think about this. Go ahead,
it's like where
continue.
the boonies are. That's what I would call it. So the squallies are people that are like half human, half pig. And I don't know if they like haunt.
They
or-
terrorize the
they
estates and anything
do.
like that.
Yeah, and like
If you're listening to this and you want to know more, there's a ton of stuff out there. Even especially the Paradise After Dark episode. I think it was their first one.
yeah, and
Just
and,
Google Squallies.
and people will
Naples.
drive to this one certain road to the Squallies like compound, and they drive up and it says like no trespassing, do not enter, and like you have to drive like backwards so you can pull out quick because like Squallies will run and like chase the car.
Is the Squally still like an active urban legend? Like, just still
Yeah.
people still like? I know
Yeah.
there were like
Yeah, this
they
is
have
like
little pockets.
this is young
of,
people I know have told me that they have gone there,
That's crazy.
and people have like chased
But I didn't
the
even
car
make that
down.
connection. Like,
And
I
those
wonder
are like
if the
well, you were
Squallies
saying
are-
the pig and the human
yeah,
spirit collided. This is like pig people.
yeah. No, that's a total like thing of it.
Yeah,
Oh my
and
God.
that's like 5 miles from
I'm
here, 10
so
miles
glad
from
you're-
here.
I'm so glad you're here right now. So there definitely is this idea of like them being a dominant enough force in the area for there to be multiple legends
Yeah.
about it now.
Yeah,
This
half-
idea of like a
half
pig
human,
and a human
half pig.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I wonder because I'm not sure how far back that legend goes. Like I'd have to look at
Yeah, I've never
I'd look at
researched
it,
it, but I
just
know
to
that
wonder whether this
Paradise After Dark, I think, was one of their first episodes.
It was,
about
I think it was their
Squallies.
very first one. I wonder if this story, because it said that his ghost walks and
Yeah.
he sounds like a pig, but you don't see a pig, you just see him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got this like tortured, like screaming pig voice coming from him. I wonder if it's like those two legends
Oh,
are
he
somehow
went off and
connected.
lived in Naples.
That's what
and
I'm
his whole
wondering.
community
Like,
is the Squallies now.
you know,
Uh huh.
because when they go, like the Weeks lived in Naples, they didn't live on Marco.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. Somehow it's connected.
I kind of feel it now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've brought it up, now I'm like, shoot, like, what if these things are... So it's hilarious. I didn't find any other... I found article after article after article. I went down the pig hole, as I said, like when we were doing our Facebook Live.
And I was like, why did you
You're
say
like,
that?
why rabbit hole? To try to find other references to the legend. Was not able to find any other references to the legend, but found dozens of articles about Virgil Weeks, about
The real story.
the real story, yeah, but not too many about it. Now, one of the things
Is
they
the
said,
1940s, is that kind of like too new, though? Usually our legends are like 1800s,
I
early
don't
1900s.
think so. I don't think. No, as a matter of fact, I would say the
'Cause people are
majority.
still alive from 1940.
I would say the majority of our legends take place in the 1940s
Okay.
because it's long enough ago that you really can't find good records,
Mm-hmm.
but recent enough that it makes sense that you can add like
Yeah, and
modern
you're always looking for
details to
older
it.
people.
Right, and it's always
You're
like,
always like, where's the 80-year-old?
right, like yeah. So we decided to check out the story
Yeah.
to see if we could find some
You couldn't find
remains
any
of the
80-year-olds.
tender house, or if we could find like where was the bridge. We were at the where
SS Jolly.
where the Jolly Bridge meets Marco, thinking like, because I had heard some reference that it is now the Jolly Bridge is where it was. We were looking at the map, and you found
Railroad Islet and
Railroad Islet.
Shoals.
and railroad shows where we were.
Yeah.
So obviously
We were exactly
we were
in the right
exactly where
spot.
you're supposed to be. And so, it's not really like you can do a legend there. Like, what we're going to do, like, eat some bacon, like, over there, or, like, try to. And when we went, we could go now, but when we went, there were
A lot of
a
people.
lot of people, and they were fishing.
Music
And it's
fishing.
Memorial Day, so the
It was
people
like
were.
it seemed like a good time.
It was
over
like a
there.
good time. As a matter of fact, you were like, I want to go fishing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I want to hang out here.
It definitely didn't seem, and so what I was doing was
It
I was
was
looking.
not spooky.
There are all these fishermen. I was looking for an old timer fisherman to be like, oh,
It was
hey,
all
like
youngins.
they're all youngins. That one guy, he was old, but he wasn't that.
He
old.
was not old.
He wasn't 1940s
No,
old.
he was probably 50.
Pretending he's 22 while he's fishing.
He's 50, pretending he's 60.
So it's one of those things where I want to follow up on the details. Now, I contacted Lauren from Paradise After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
I also contacted a friend of mine who's a
Did
paralegal.
They just rejected you?
And what I did, well, it was like, well, you can go find this information. I'm like, but it's got to be, the transcripts have got to be in like LexisNexis or like Westlaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got to be on the system. Does that have like transcripts of actual trials, or is it just, and I was pretty sure, I thought it did, which is why I hit up my lawyer friends.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get
Nothing.
anything back. So I might have to call the paralegal again and say, like, oh, hey, like, can you find actual transcripts? Lauren said you could look at arrest records, and the arrest record will have the exact location that the murder happened at, and we could we could put those things together. But for some place that is far away from everything, Naples and Marco have a train tradition. Like, they actually have a train museum
Right.
on one side,
Yeah,
right?
railroad is big history.
Yeah, why is
They have a
it's-
train depot. They have like a train museum.
Then they have this whole thing we can ride like old trains here on Marco. Like, that's like a big thing on Marco, is to go to this one park that has all these like old school trains.
In Marco?
On
'Cause
Marco, yeah.
Naples has like a train museum.
It's not the train museum, it's something totally different.
No, I don't even know
It's
this.
actually, from what I understand, which I didn't think, because there was some connection to that and like the Key West Express, which I thought ran out of Fort Myers.
Yeah.
But they said something about Marco with it too, and
there's
I
a
was
part.
like,
Okay.
yeah, maybe there's another one that goes from Marco. Although I don't know why you would come all the way here to then, when Fort Myers would be closer to anyone. The railroad itself connects to other ghostly
Marco
legends
is
we've
closer
talked
to me
about.
than Fort Myers. In Key West, I would go to Marco to go to Key West.
But why would you have two of them? Is what I'm saying. Why would you have two Key West
It's like a
Expresses
little like.
like an hour away from each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna do it, just have one place
Because
that
people
does
in
it.
Marco have money. They want their own little spot.
That's true. And it goes twice as fast for Marco. The boat's twice as fast.
Yeah, and it's closer.
'Cause
to
it's a
Key
Marco
West.
boat.
And it's closer to Key West. It's
People
already on
from-
the water.
We're not going to get into the socioeconomic differences between
Collier County and Lee
Collier
County.
County and other places that we've done legends. But what we have crossed before is the Alkaline, which is the Atlantic Coast Trail Railway, the Atlantic Coast Trailways. So we talked about that. We talked about some of the Pemberton Ferry stuff. Before you got here, there was all the stuff with Mama Gras and the Bloody Bucket and the Indian Springs Cemetery. There's definitely, like, that is the ghost rail.
Yeah.
It seems like from where I think it first pops up in Jacksonville, all the way down to here. Like, there's a ton. It's
Well,
different.
when I researched the railroad, that was the first stuff that came
Right,
up.
right. And it's funny because railroads keep excellent records. So there's got to be out there somewhere exactly.
Yeah, something happened in their
Where
Tinder
it
house. I'm
comes.
Tender House.
See, you're doing Tinder House now too. There's got to be some record of like where it launched, like where it came out of. So there's definitely research I wanted to do, but I wanted to get this information out here, especially because, can we back up the legend? Can we? Yeah, that's all well and good, but the story itself had to get out there.
Yeah.
I've been like trembling, dying to tell you this story.
I know, you're so excited
You know what I'm
about
saying?
this.
So it was like, and I knew that I could get you out because it's like, it's on Marco. It's right over the
It's
bridge.
in your county.
Remember that place that we like to go eat? It's right there. It's right down the street from it. So the one place we didn't get to was I wanted to actually go to Virgil's grave.
Oh, it's here?
It's in Marco Cemetery.
Oh.
How far away is Marco Cemetery from here?
Look it up.
It's now 11 o'clock. Is it 11 o'clock or 11:30?
We love to go to cemeteries.
It's 11:30 on Marco Island. How far away is it?
It is
You're like, it's right there.
1.2 miles.
Shut up. Should we go to the cemetery?
Yeah.
We shouldn't go in if you're not supposed to go in after dark.
No, of course not.
We would never do that here on Tripping on Legends. But you can follow up with us on this case.
Open
and the
24
other.
hours.
Oh, is it really? Shut up. Okay. So we're going to stop short now because we're going to go to the cemetery and see if we can find Virgil's grave just to get some nice pictures of it. Meanwhile, you can follow us on any of the social media options that you want to. As Deanna said, and I completely always forget to advertise, we are on TikTok. So we make TikTok videos not only about the episodes, but also like little parts during when we actually are out on the field legend tripping. And that is at Tripping on Legends. You can follow us on Facebook at Tripping on Legends, at facebook.com Tripping on Legends. You can go to trippingonlegends.com, which is a really good place to go. I don't think you ever go there, but it has really cool articles
there.
about other hauntings
I go there.
and haunted legends and stuff like that. So we do our episodes, we post that stuff there, but we also post a lot of ghost stories from across the country. And, of course, you can follow us on Instagram at Spooky Tripping. So, on the heels of us going to go check out this cemetery and pay our respects to good old Virgil Weeks. I am Christopher Balzano,
I'm Deanna Mulhern.
and here's hoping that all of your trips are legendary. We're really gonna go to the cemetery
Yeah,
spontaneously.
it's on the way.
All right, it's on the way home.
Yeah.
Perfect.